Welcome everybody to another Eqafe Hangout. Tonight we'll be discussing the Eqafe interview, Dealing with Difficult People. And this is with Sunette. It's like a video, not our usual audios that we hear. You see her, so it's kind of a different view. It's pretty cool. And today I have a guest with me. Her name is Michelle, and she's from US, but she's living in Austria right now. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Garb. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Okay, so let me just go into a little bit quickly about what Eqafe is for the new viewers, people that are not aware or know about Eqafe. It's a website that is educational in its nature. It has over 4,000, 5,000 interviews on it. So there is quite a database of information, and it ranges on all topics of human nature, human behavior, mental illnesses, mental understandings. So it deals a lot with the mind, and really any range of topic that you can think of. You just do a search on it and I'm sure something will pop up. And it's for supporting the human being, us, our way of living, and kind of giving support to live in ways that are not necessarily seen or understood in the usual everyday mainstream type media. So it's definitely a cool website to check out. It's also associated with the Destiny Eye process. So that's another point to recognize and check out. I will place links below for you guys to check out this information if interested in. So, Michelle, let's get into this interview. You're the one that picked this interview. Just give a little bit of a synopsis of why you picked this interview, how it supported you, etc.
Yes. So I have a job, and I have someone that I would describe as a bit difficult to work with, or a difficult coworker, which I'm sure many people can relate to. And I didn't know how to deal or work with this coworker for some time. And I was really grateful when Eqafe came out with the difficult people recording, and I listened to that. And I then started to apply the suggestions and techniques from the recording. Excuse me, my voice. And I started to notice some cool results and some new insights and realizations with this person. And I was able to gain more confidence in myself, and also get to learn a lot more about me and the other person. And now we have basically a cool, stable relationship.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, that's one of the awesome things about the Eqafe site is it gives insights and understandings in a more comprehensive way based on the access that Sunette has through herself, through being the portal, that kind of gives a new view or a different view on topics that every day we face, like difficult people. So it's they're awesome support to get a broader perspective. And why don't you just share a little bit about the situation at work, if you want to, or just some experience you've had with a difficult person. What are the details? How has it kind of been for you?
Yeah, so it would basically be that the person would confront me in a state of stress. And this would, I would kind of go into a lockdown mode of stress and anxiety as well. And also because I was quite insecure, and I felt inferior to this person, that it was like I tried to not show that, and instead kind of try to put like a guard in front of myself and be like, okay, I'm ready to face you, and almost like having this attack mode, wanting to almost fight back with my words when she comes to me in the stress and telling me these things I need to do or things I need to fix, for example. So, and I started to notice that this was becoming a really unhealthy behavior and relationship that was playing out, because what would happen was, because she was, I should be careful, because I was reacting so much in stress to her stress, I would come home in stress, and it would just be really unpleasant experience. So from this, should I talk about like the process that I walked?
Well, let's just hold up on that. I just wanted to, just give a little bit of a background on your experience, and I'm just going to share a little bit about mine, and then we'll go into the more support process.
Okay.
If that works for you. So that's kind of the structure. So you all set? You cool?
Yeah, basically that. I mean, just the relationship we've had is she would come to me in stress, and then I would react in stress, and I just noticed that the pattern, that relationship wasn't healthy.
Cool. Yeah. On my end, the person that I actually work with, this person, and this person also is my mother. So I have noticed within myself how our relationship has been, in a way, supportive, but also very difficult. And within myself, at work, I'm the office manager. I'm like the manager of the group of people that are working there. And I, just based on that, how I have to direct her to go and do stuff, she like automatically, because she's my mother, she goes into a superiority within herself, and we kind of butt heads, because within myself I'm like seeing everything that has to be done and the way it has to go based on just where I'm at in my position, so to speak, and she's at her position, she's got specific things to do. And so within myself, I've kind of created this, superiority type, conflictual relationship with her. And within myself also, what started to develop was kind of like a nasty, spiteful back chat that I was participating in. And this would come out within me where I would, yell at her, or be short with her, or just be kind of unnecessarily rude to her, just through, back chatting in my mind about, what she's doing and how she's doing it, not listening to me, things like that. So, yeah, it started to accumulate within the environment, within our relationship. And within myself, I would just be all, tensed up and in emotion, just because I, blamed her for why things weren't going the way they were supposed to go. And, different things would happen where I would get, slack from other people, the people that are my managers, and it was based on things that, didn't happen the way they were supposed to. So I would just blame other people, and it became, a whole thing where, yeah, the flag point was when I started to become nasty and spiteful in my back chat. And that's kind of what woke me up and, realized that, okay, I need to start looking at this relationship and figuring out ways to support myself. So I didn't listen. I probably listened to it when it first came out, so I didn't really use this interview, but I have been listening to it to prep for this Hangout. So just the basics in it, I definitely walked for myself. So why don't you, Michelle, just share a little bit about, through this interview, how did it support you to kind of see new ways to deal with difficult people or work with difficult people in your environment, and specifically in the case with your person at work?
One thing that supported me that the interview also talked about was being mirroring the solution. So because I can relate a lot to when it comes to the back chat, I also would back chat a lot about this person, and I would complain a lot, not realizing, I mean, I'm just blaming and blaming and not doing anything about it. So I started to mirror the solution. I started to be someone who I think would support her, or being the person that I would actually like to be when she would confront me in stress. So when she would come up to me in that emotional reaction, I would practice as much as I can to be calm, to be stable, and to actually be humble, because for some reason I would the opposite would be wanting to almost want to fight back with words, you know, saying, no, like, you're wrong or something like that. No, I actually practice to become humble and to take in her words, and then sometimes at the end of the day, or if I had a moment, I would check in with myself and see and look at her words, because usually when she would talk to me, it was really during a chaotic time, because we work with children, so there's not much processing time to kind of, you know, process the words and support in that moment, because you have other things to focus on. So when I would have a moment to breathe, then I would look at her words and I would say, okay, well, how can I improve? Because what would happen is before, she would tell me things that I need to fix or correct, and how I do my job, and I would take it personally, and I actually wouldn't really work on improving it, because there was a part of me that kind of wanted to just screw you kind of thing. I'm not, you know, like, you're making me upset. I don't want to, you know, please you.
Yeah.
But actually, no, I mean, she was giving me this support because it would help others in the environment. So I would work on actually improving myself. So I would be humble in that regard, and realizing, okay, yes, I could need some improvement. So I did that for myself. And then when she would approach me, I would, you know, do my best to remain calm and humble, you know, listen to her. You know, if I saw that I could speak up about something confidently, I would, but I would really try not to do it in an arrogant way, really try to be equal with her. So yeah, over time, the more I practice it, I have noticed that our relationship became softer in a way. It wasn't so, you know, so she started to actually approach me in a softer way, which was nice. I got to see that, okay, something's working here, for me to step back and breathe and, you know, just take it in. And then you did mention the Destiny I process in the beginning. So I am also currently working on a mind construct with my relationship with her, so I can look at, you know, deeper dimensions of like who I am with certain personalities and characters. So that's been really, really helpful and supportive, because, you know, working with that, I can also see where I'm living these certain patterns, personalities with other people. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. One of the points you talked about was taking things personal, and that is like a key point, because that's something you can flag. Like, if you start to in yourself go into energy and, you know, start speaking in your head like, no, this person is so, like, you know, they're so not speaking the way I really am, and they're such bastards, or they're such, you know, just start going off in your head and kind of yelling at them in your head about who they are and how you're not responsible and how they're the problem. That's like a flag point, and it's also a point that took me, you know, a lot of writing and a lot of, you know, practice to bring that point back to myself and look at myself and realize, okay, what are they saying about me that I can look at from inside myself and see, am I actually too, like one of the things my mom always used to tell me was I was too militant. Like I was too, you know, have to do things a specific way and have to be perfect in it. And yeah, I mean, when I looked at myself and looked at the way I operated, I had this perfection personality within myself where I wanted everything to be perfect, and I pushed that inside myself. But is it actually necessary to have, you know, the format of a document completely perfect like all the time? Like allow people to make mistakes and, you know, walk with them instead of demanding to get them to do what you know, what I want. So yeah, I mean, through using that point of taking things personal and going into your mind and blaming the other person, it's like a flag point. You can immediately look, okay, they have something to show me. They're actually a gift in my life to see, okay, where am I also being difficult? So that was a cool point in this interview, kind of bringing that point back to yourself and seeing who are you as a difficult person. So do you have any experience with that? Like, can you relate to that?
Yeah. Yes. And I also wanted to share that I was also able to look at her and the words that she represented that I was like afraid of or like resisted. And to me, she was quite directive and assertive and yeah, very certain, you know, in who she was and what she wanted. And these were things that I feared for some reason when they can actually be words of support. So things that I thought were really difficult with her were actually words that I could use for myself. And so when it comes to the difficulty, well, I can just see the point with words because because I can't so much relate to her as much as the words that I have separated myself from, if that makes sense. But I know that I can be a difficult person. I know that there will be times where I can react in emotion of stress, but I've really been working on first stopping myself and taking responsibility and not allowing myself to speak in emotion, because I do know, and I see it with how some of me and my coworkers can interact sometime, is we will speak in a moment of reaction and stress, and this can, you know, kind of ripple with everyone else, and everyone else gets stressed. And like,
Yeah.
when I see that happening, I try so much to not get myself involved, not to succumb to that. It's almost like a group mentality or something that ripples when one of us becomes stressed. So it's really like one of us then, or it would be great if all of us could all stand together and take responsibility. But so what I've been doing is I've been practicing not being that difficult person and just kind of standing my ground and, okay, like I'm gonna like calm down and I'm gonna like forgive this reaction and I'm gonna like change and live a word.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. It's cool that you see your change in living words, because that's another support point that we can use to support ourselves in those kind of situations. Because in the moment, like you said, it does get emotional. Like you can in a moment just react based on your own, you know, because work, obviously there's pressure there, there's stress because you got to get stuff done. Things are, you know, everybody knows how work is. So yeah, it's stressful. So you can become emotional, but through that, ways to support yourself is to see, okay, what kind of words can I live in this moment to calm myself down? And that would be the word calm. You know, how can I calm myself down? I can use the reminder word of breathing. I can just breathe here. I can find my awareness within my breath. I can go outside and take a breath. I can take a moment to catch my breath, so to speak. In the Destiny I process, there's self-forgiveness. So that is a support tool that we use to walk through the emotion that came up. And kind of identifying within ourselves what we reacted to, taking responsibility. And then through the change process is where we can use these words to kind of use as a reference to change ourselves in those moments. So it's a very supportive point to become the solution in these moments. Because obviously, like, each of us have our own lives, have our own history. This was also mentioned in the interview. And, you know, we don't really know what people go through within themselves and how difficult their lives, and especially at work, because really we just see people at work and that's it. You know, we don't go home and see how they live. So, yeah, I try to also take that into consideration as well. And, you know, other people's minds and where they're at, because, yeah, you don't know. And I like to look at the point of, if I was in their shoes, what could I do to support them? And use that as a way to, again, find a solution in the moment. But as you talked, Michelle, this doesn't like happen overnight. I mean, what kind of process have you walked to, if you can describe a little bit more for the viewers on changing such a pattern, like going from, you know, reacting totally to this person to now having a more stable relationship with them? Like, what kind of process does that take?
Okay, so it started with me realizing that I didn't want to continue this relationship anymore. Meaning, when she would come to me in a certain state, I would react, and then I would end up blaming her in my head and take it with me throughout the day, you know, all the way home. And I wanted to have a better relationship with her, because obviously our relationship was also affecting our environment with the kids. And that's the last thing I want, is for the kids to be affected by our personal stuff. So it really did come down to a decision where I'm like, after listening to the recording, I'm like, okay, good. I'm gonna start practicing this. I'm gonna start, being that, mirroring the solution when she comes to me, but also to take responsibility for my reactions and to learn from her and see what she's showing about me. So, I mean, this took months. I mean, this is not something, like you said, happens overnight. But it really started with the decision, and then it was just practice little by little. Every time she would come to me in a state, basically the 3 keywords, was calm, stable, humble. Those were like the 3 words that I just lived, like whenever, or just practiced, whenever she would come to me. And like I said, this took months, really, until we both had a softer expression with each other. And and like I said, walking the Destiny I process, I have a buddy that I do weekly chats with, and she also walks these points with me. And she was the one who also showed me the words that my coworkers are presenting. So this is also something that takes weeks and months to work on. It's not like I've transcended the point yet, but I am, walking. So but it's definitely, I think it just, for someone to do this, it comes with a realization. Okay, I don't want to have this unhealthy relationship anymore with someone. I want to help them, but I also want to help me. And then, you be the solution that you think that person needs. You live it, and then you also take responsibility for your reactions through the Destiny courses, or simply through writing and self-forgiveness, for example.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it does take, quite a while to change patterns, because obviously we've always existed in this way, in a way. We've always kind of just allowed reactions to direct us in our lives. And yeah, the same for me. I mean, it took months to really start to move through this emotion, because emotion is like instant. It's like electric. It's like a lightning bolt that can go through you, and you just instantly react. One of the supportive things that I walked in this process of changing emotional reactions is to not judge myself for reacting, because that can just make your process of changing so much more difficult, because then you have the baggage of not only reacting but judging yourselves for reacting. And I've done that, and it just is even more exhausting to just walk that point. So I highly suggest not to judge yourself, but continue to walk this process of change for yourself. Practice. You're gonna fall, you're gonna make mistakes, but just keep getting back up and using the support in these interviews and in the Destiny Eye process to change yourself. And it's key to have these support platforms like Eqafe and these interviews and buddy support, because we can't really do it alone, I would say. I mean, it's much more difficult, and the patterns are so habitual that it's hard sometimes to see outside the box. So it's good to have these interviews to kind of have that, view that we might not necessarily ever really consider or see.
Yeah, they're definitely one of a kind. The interviews.
They are. Yeah.
Really special. Yeah, and yeah, great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we want to emphasize these interviews and realize that, and kind of help you realize and see through these Hangouts that these interviews are one of a kind, and they will support you to help you to change yourself in these kind of situations that me and Michelle are discussing here. I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate to difficult people in your life, and have you ever considered, being a difficult person yourself? I mean, before this, Michelle, did you ever consider like your own points of difficulty? Or was it always just they're the problem? Like,
oh no. I mean, I can just see my relationship with my sister. I was a difficult sister, So I can sometimes be a difficult partner. I mean, I know that I have these tendencies. I'm not perfect. Oh my gosh, like
totally.
So yeah, but I really like what you said about not judging yourself for the reactions, because that's something that I am still working on, are these judgments. And what would happen is with the judgments, I'll tend to go into more emotional turmoil, which would affect those around me unnecessarily. So yeah, so there's those are also things to work on. We all have those difficult points, and with Eqafe, like you said, and the supportive people also walking the process. I mean, yeah, we can't do this alone, and it really helps to use the tools and to reach out for support if necessary. So
cool. Yeah. Yeah, and there's definitely, through this process, there's definitely support that you can reach out to. So it's been said many times in the interviews you can email even the website if you don't find something that you can relate to, or that's on something that you're looking for. You can email the website, and Sunette will put that in our list, and she'll take it on and speak about it. So I also did an interview or a hangout with Sunette to kind of understand more about what she's about as a portal and who she is, and that will be placed in the links below to check out. So any other last points, Michelle? I think we kind of covered this topic quite well. Anything you wanted to add on or discuss, or any kind of closing remarks?
No, not at the moment, but thanks, Garb, for bringing up the topic and inviting me, and or I should say I brought up the topic, but thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. It was a cool discussion. Okay, so I think that we're going to wrap this up, and if you guys have any questions or comments in relation to what we discussed, or Anything about Eqafe, you can leave comments below or email the site. And yeah, so I guess that is it. Have a good night, and thanks for watching. Thanks, Michelle, for being here.
Thanks, Garb.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.